Hello, Henrik.
This is Christopher Plummer. Christopher Plummer is an amazing actor. So amazing, in fact, that I'm making an entire video talking about a 30-second scene he filmed over 10 years ago. He's that good. I'm going to mention that this video contains spoilers for the movie The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, so if you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend pausing the video and returning after you've watched it because the movie is a masterpiece. So what is it that's just so special about his acting here? Well, first, some context. In David Fincher's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, we meet an eccentric billionaire who has hired a Swedish journalist to solve the mystery of his niece's disappearance from over 40 years ago. Christopher Plummer plays the aforementioned billionaire, Henrik Wenger, who has been receiving mysterious paintings from his niece's killer for the past 40 years. Paintings his very same beloved niece had gifted to him every year before her death 40 years prior. Believing the new paintings are being sent to him by his niece's killer, and after being tormented with the loss of his closest companion for 4 decades, Henrik proceeds to hire Michael Blomkvist, a disgraced journalist who could do with some time away from his regular 9-to-5, to investigate this murder. Henrik encourages Mikkel, played by Daniel Craig, to masquerade his investigation as him simply writing about Wenger's entrepreneurial exploits, a memoir, all the while uncovering the truth about the murder of his niece. Mikkel is given all tools at his disposal and asked to interview the colorful family members that Henrik lives with, secluded on their own private island, a wealthy family that wants for nothing, headed by a man with a disdain for his success after the disappearance of his niece. After some time and much investigation, many disturbing family secrets are revealed. Mikkel discovers that Henrik's nephew and Harriet's older brother, Martin, is a serial killer and attempts to find incriminating evidence of this fact. Mikkel is captured, almost killed, until he is rescued by everyone's favorite tattooed vigilante. During his near-death experience, Mikkel learns that Martin and Harriet's late father was also a serial killer and routinely abused the 2 young siblings over 40 years prior until his accidental drowning a year before Harriet's disappearance. Putting the puzzle together, Mikkel tracks down a familiar face, Harriet's friend from earlier in the story, Anita Wenger. He uncovers the shocking truth that Anita has been Harriet this whole time, as Harriet assumed her identity to stay hidden after escaping the clutches of her abusive, murderous family for good on that fateful day 40 years ago. Now we return to the man himself, Henrik Wenger, who not only has the bomb dropped on him that his nephew was an actual serial killer, but learns that his beloved niece has apparently been alive this whole time. Overwhelmed with emotion, we are graced with this fine piece of acting by Christopher Plummer.
Hello, Henrik.
Why is this scene just so good? In a movie that's rich with breathtaking cinematography, a gripping soundtrack, and a compelling story, surely there are more notable moments than this one. But that's just what I love about this small scene, its simplicity. There's no grand reunion or cliche music to usher our characters back to one another, just a 40-year silence broken with a simple,
Hello, Henrik.
and the tone itself is perfectly upheld by Christopher Plummer in a way that other large-name actors overlook. The beauty of this scene is in its subtlety, because that's what real life is, subtle, and Plummer recognizes that to deliver a moving performance, you have to convince the audience to believe what is happening on screen. When he first sees Harriet, he seems overwhelmed with grief and disbelief. Withering away and now bound to a wheelchair, he ushers closer to Harriet and sets his gaze upon her for the first time in a lifetime. The gravity of the situation setting in for them both, their eyes lock, and through tearful eyes, Harriet utters her greeting. You can see the pure anguish in Henrik's eyes, mixed with the look of relief as he recognized the face of his niece after 4 decades of believing her to be dead. Now what makes this so convincing? Henrik looks terrified, he's in complete shock, and who should blame him after the events of the movie unfolded? He doesn't know whether he can believe his own eyes. What comes next is what prompts him to make this video. Harriet approaches Henrik and this wheelchair-bound, wealthy, successful entrepreneur collapses into an embrace with his niece as he sobs uncontrollably. He collapses into her, desperately blubbering for a hug with his long-lost niece. The floodgates have been lifted as the music swells, and Henrik can believe that this chapter of his life is finally closed. Just imagine for a moment the pain one might feel in Henrik's shoes. Lucky for us, we don't have to imagine it, because Christopher Plummer does it for us. He tells us just how we would feel and act if it were the audience in this scenario, and he convinces us of this in a 25-second scene with such incredible subtlety of acting that it's easy to overlook. In the hands of a lesser actor, the scene would have had little impact. It could have been a forgettable reunion, a killer captured, and a case closed. But the look on Henrik's face is haunting in its realism. It's jarring in its subtlety. He doesn't overdo his emotions by hysterical loud performance for some notable screen time, and he doesn't undersell the pain he feels with only a twisted face or a cliché single tear. His reaction is wholly believable, and that should be what acting is about at the end of the day, believability. As he rolls into the hallway, we see a broken man, at the tail end of his life, rewarded with the closure he had been seeking for 40 years now. And we, the audience, are rewarded with a memorable reunion, a case closed, and a masterclass in acting by Christopher Plummer.